Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops.
He's been calling me out, no offer. We offered him a lot of money, you know, like what's it, 10 times the amount he's earning. So listen, I heard that there's $100 million on the table and he wants a 60-40 split. So I say this, offer me $60 million straight up and you take the rest of the gate. If there's $100 million and I take 60%, they should offer me $60 million and I'll take that fight of a heartbeat. But you have to be realistic, because talking about it isn't always realistic. We looked at the stats, the figures, and we realized that straight up offer is a lot of dough. But then they're saying, no, they're quadrupling the amount that's on the table, saying that it's going to generate $100 million. That's a cheap offer. So it's like, okay, cool. If it is a $100 million fight and they're happy with taking 60-40, give me 50, I'll take 50-50. Give me $50 million up front, and I swear I'll take that fight tomorrow. But they're not making no offers like that, but they're talking about it. So it's not real. So as I said, we offered him a lucrative deal, and we're just waiting to hear if he's serious or not. But they like to jump on social media than rather emailing us back in a professional manner.
Do you think it will happen, and do you think it will happen next?
It has to happen. I think there's not really been many fights in the heavyweight division in history that haven't happened when you're talking about championship level. So in terms of history, I think that this fight has to happen, because it wouldn't be great for this era of boxing if it doesn't happen.
So finally, if you've got a message to Deontay right now, what is it?
Sign the contract, bad boy.
Anthony Joshua says in an interview that Jarrell Big Baby Miller or Povetkin are more likely as a next opponent than Deontay Wilder. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Big shout out, big up to the mirror.co.uk, a UK based website. And I think that's important, because listen, I've been talking about Joshua Wilder. I will continue to do so on my channel. And some people say, oh, you're being biased and stuff like that. But we'll hear what Anthony Joshua said in a recent interview. Link in the description. He says Jarrell Miller's more serious. Actually, let me read the paragraph before. Miller also first needs to defeat Johann Duhaupas on April 28th, but asked whom he was most likely to fight next. Anthony Joshua told Press Association Sport, Miller or Povetkin. If I was to list which negotiations would be easiest, I'd put them at the start. Jarrell Miller's more serious. Miller would definitely step up to the challenge. When these guys haven't got much to lose, they're more serious. They know they've got everything to gain. Miller's a bit more serious because it seems he hasn't got as much to lose. He'll jump at the opportunity. If Deontay Wilder was as serious as he says, he would jump at the opportunity. I haven't heard from the president of the WBA, but that's a conversation to be had. If there were a situation where Deontay Wilder accepted the challenge and it was something he was looking to do this year, it would be a conversation with the WBA to see how we could hopefully postpone Povetkin until 2019. I didn't work this hard to give things away. Wilder's had 40 fights. The fans and broadcasters are fed up, so he has to make a move. That fight will happen sometime. My career isn't based around Deontay Wilder. That's what's clear about it. End quote. Right? So that's the main part I want to talk about. Listen, very easy to decipher. This is not even like a Mayweather-Pacquiao, because Mayweather-Pacquiao, I would say, was trickier, like to decipher what was going on, who did what. You would have to be in the know and really follow the story. This is not hard at this point to determine what the real holdup is, period. Like I said, Mayweather-Pacquiao, there were some different issues. Freddie Roach and Pacquiao, and we didn't want to do drug tests, let the commission do their job, opposing network. So it was, you know what I mean, you would have to be really following it to see who was kind of telling the truth. This issue, I'm positive I know who and what side is creating more complications, because just listen to the talk. Joshua's side says, I didn't work this hard to give things away. But what are you actually giving away? I don't really understand that. You know what I'm saying? So you're basically saying Wilder only deserves 12%. He did an interview with IFL TV. They asked him to clarify the offer. Was it a flat rate, take it or leave it offer? He declined. Joshua declined to answer that question. So that sometimes no response is a response. You know what I mean? Why would you decline? If you're like, no, I would listen. If there was a rumor that we offered some bullshit and we really offered him a credible percentage, then why would you decline to answer that on IFL TV? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you just be like, listen, what you're hearing in the press is lies. We didn't offer a flat rate, take it or leave it. He only had 48 hours to sign. I'll show you the paperwork. He had 2 weeks to complete the contract. It was a percentile, and it was this and that. You wouldn't say, oh, I'd rather not talk about that, right? Then Joshua said in the quote that I just read, Deontay Wilder's had 40 fights. The fans and broadcasters are fed up, so he has to make a move. What? I just did an interview with Steven Espinoza, who's an exec with Showtime, you know, I mean, the man in charge for their boxing programming, and he says he has a great relationship with Deontay Wilder. I literally filmed it. I filmed it, talked to him. He didn't say anything about he said, Joshua just said the fans and broadcasters are fed up, so he has to make a move. Steven Espinoza on camera, when I talked to him 2 days ago at Edislandi Lara versus Jarrell Hurd, did not say one word about being fed up with Deontay Wilder. So I don't understand where Joshua even got that from. Like, Showtime just did great ratings with Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. You get me? And they did good, good exposure with the Stavern 2 knockout. You know what I mean? So Joshua said the fans and broadcasters are fed up, so he has to make a move. What is that based on? Like, why would Showtime be mad? Wilder's numbers with Ortiz did over 1 million, better than all of Joshua's fights, maybe Klitschko. No, the Klitschko didn't even do 1 million. It did 1 million, I think, maybe, or closer on HBO during the re-air. That's a fact too. HBO re-aired it because Klitschko was an HBO guy, and Joshua had been on the Showtime network. When HBO re-aired the fight after, not in real time, HBO did better numbers than Showtime. So why would the broadcasters be fed up at Wilder? So I don't know where that information is coming from. Like I said, I interviewed Steven Espinoza. He didn't mention that. He said we have a great relationship. We've had a good relationship with Joshua, but it hasn't been as long. He said, but our relationship with Wilder goes back. He said we go back like cornrow. He didn't say that, but that's basically what he meant. And then Joshua says my career isn't based around Wilder. That's what's clear about it. So, I mean, these type of statements, I understand that, like, your career's not based on Wilder exclusively, but this is the fight everyone's talking about. So, and he's making these statements. So, to me, this attitude is showing up in the negotiation. Flat rate, take it or leave it, $12 million. That's what leads me to believe that this is true. One, you declined to go into detail, whereas if I knew I had an offer and the press got it all wrong, then what's the point of clarifying? Be like, hey, I can't go into details, but that's false. It wasn't a take it or leave it 48-hour deadline, and it was a percentage. You could say that. You don't have to get into every aspect of the deal and, you know what I mean, the details. And this is on an IFL TV interview. And Joshua, I'm just breaking out what he said. If Deontay Wilder was as serious as he says, he would jump at the opportunity. Not really. And see, this is the other thing. He says Jarrell Big Baby Miller's more serious. I disagree with that. He said Miller would definitely step up to the challenge. I agree. He would step up to the challenge. I know Jarrell, right? Good dude. He said when these guys haven't got so much to lose, they're more serious. They know they've got everything to gain. I don't think it's so much of that. That's why I disagrey with that statement that Joshua said. Because I think it is Wilder knows his own value. He's a champion, so he's not going to be chumped. He has a good team around him. He has Al Heyman, he has Finkel, he has JDs, he has Mark Breland. So there's guys that have been in the industry. So they're not going to, they know Wilder's the missing link to undisputed at heavyweight. Until someone could beat Wilder, you have to go through Wilder to get that last belt, which should be a goal. So at the end of the day, I don't think it has anything to do with Big Baby Miller being more serious. He's just not in a position. Every challenger wants to one day fight for a title. I mean, I would imagine what boxer says, you know what, I'm just content being a journeyman, or I want to stay a prospect for 15 years straight. People don't really do that. They want an opportunity, they want their title shot, right? Whether they come up short or they're successful. Every guy, I mean, Lomachenko won the title shot in his second pro fight because he felt he was ready for it. You know what I mean? So I disagree with Joshua saying Jarrell Big Baby Miller's more serious. I don't think it's that. I think he really would fight a top level guy or a champion, but he doesn't have anything to bring to the table in terms of a belt. So of course he's going to probably take less because he also hasn't made the paydays. And if I'm wrong, you guys can show me the paperwork, show receipts of Jarrell Miller making $2 million in a fight like Wilder just got versus Ortiz. I mean, I don't even see how that would really even be feasible since he hasn't even been the main event. How can his purse be, if Showtime's making Wilder the champion, a main event with Luis Ortiz, and he got 2-point-something million, let's say 2.1 million, how is it that Jarrell Miller is fighting on HBO undercards, on Danny Jacobs undercard more than once? Jacobs coming April 28th undercard, and Jacobs last November undercard, and then before that he was on, I think, Wilder Stavern undercard with Gerald Washington, the guy Wilder beat. So tell me how Miller would be making bigger paydays being on the undercard. You know what I mean? It's just the logistics doesn't make sense. You typically don't see the guys on the undercard making more than the main event, especially when the main event's a champion. So Joshua says Miller's more serious. I don't really see that. I don't see him being more serious. Yes, he would fight for a title and he's going to step up, but it's not because he doesn't have much to lose. It's because he doesn't have much to refute. That'll be his career high payday. That'll be a title shot, and he probably feels he can beat you. You get what I'm saying? So it has nothing to do with that he's more serious than Deontay Wilder. Wilder just knows he's a champion and the last key component to being undisputed. And he's been making $1 million paydays, million plus paydays, and then $2 million for Ortiz. So he's not just going to accept whatever deal. He knows the pressure is going to be on Joshua to make the fight. So yeah, I mean, you guys can say whatever. Oh, you're on Wilder's payroll being biased, but you got to prove what I'm saying wrong. That's the easiest way to do it. And this is very telling. Joshua is saying that he believes Povetkin or Jarrell Miller would be next. See, this is another thing. Now, Povetkin got through his last fight, David Price, and somehow that made him a mandatory, but whatever. But Jarrell Miller has a fight April 28th against a guy Wilder knocked out years ago, Johan Duhaupas, and Povetkin, who's also linked to maybe getting a Joshua fight, knocked out. So Miller, why would Miller, his fight hasn't even been completed on April 28th, and Joshua is still saying the negotiations are going to be easier with Povetkin and Jarrell Miller. Why? Because of his side, because his side is more eager to make those fights. Why? I mean, if one guy hasn't even got past his next opponent, how can you say that negotiations are going to be easier with him? You know what I mean? When you have to wait until the 28th of April to see how he looks to even negotiate with him. You know what I mean? So it's very apparent what's going on here. Let me know your thoughts. Drop in the comment section. Anthony Joshua says that Miller or Povetkin is more likely than Wilder next, and the negotiations with them two would be easier. So that's what I'm saying is this. Why is it so much easier? This is another thing. Why is it so much easier? Jarrell Miller's a trash talker. Povetkin not so much. I haven't really seen him trash talk too much. But neither guy is a champion. Why is it so easy to negotiate, go back and forth with Jarrell Miller or Povetkin's team? What separates Rubinski with Povetkin in World of Boxing from Shelly Finkel, Luis de Cubas, Al Heyman? Like, why is it so much easier to work with them than it is to negotiate a fight with Wilder? Because for whatever reason, they offer this flat rate, and Joshua is still saying that it's easier to make the fights with Miller or Povetkin. Reason being is because they're not champions, and it's easier they want a title shot. They want to become champions. So it's easier to coax them into taking a different deal and not getting top dollar, because they're also doing it for the opportunity. Wilder, whether he fights Joshua or not, he still is a champion. So, and people are starting to get familiar with the brand more and more, so he can still command better paydays than definitely Jarrell Miller. Povetkin can get some good paydays because they got a lot of money in Russia and they put up money. You know what I mean? When Wilder was supposed to fight Povetkin, he was about to get like $7 million. Povetkin was going to get like $2.7 million or $3 million or something. So the Russians definitely got money. They got bread to put up, but still, they also want the opportunity. And then, like I said, for Jarrell Miller, I don't think it's that he's more serious about it. I think he doesn't have a title he's bringing to the table, so he's probably gonna go for whatever is his career high payday. Link in the description. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, Ego signing off.